Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Meditation Ward. I am Nadia, and my friend Futch is on the episode today. I know him as Futch, and his actual name is Garth Futcher, and he has been a music producer for almost 35 years. He's been teaching audio engineering and music production for 29 of those years, and he lives in Vancouver. He's the founder of an online school called Levels. He's a certified Ableton Live trainer and a meditation coach.
Oh yeah,
Just a couple of things that keep you busy.
it does. It does that.
Yeah.
When you say that, I know all that stuff, but when I hear that back, it makes me sound so old, and I am so old. But look at me, I look so young and
I
full of
know.
life still. I still have something to give.
Yeah, I actually felt the same thing when I read it. I was like, he does not look that old.
It's because I went right from high school into my vocation. I was 17 when I went to recording school, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just followed all my friends to recording school, and then I was just like, this is amazing, and I just fell in love with music production like that, like just right away, right out of high school, and I've been doing it ever since. So
Yeah.
so
That makes
now
you
it's like
that makes you less old than I thought.
right. Right, because it's not like I went to university for 8 years or whatever and then got into music production, right? It's
Yeah.
just like that's all I've really ever done.
Were you a musician before you got into music production?
I use the term musician in quotations or very lightly. I mean, I was in like a high school punk slash metal band, and that's actually where we did our first recording. So we recorded on a friend's 4 track, and I remember it was like a 4 track cassette, like you can record on 4 tracks of the cassette. So it was like a sort of professional version of a cassette. And he recorded a guitar solo and then flipped the cassette over. So the guitar solo played backwards. And I was like, this is amazing. And then I recorded a demo in my high school music composition class. Our instructor recorded my band's demo. So I sort of saw people recording bands. So that was kind of imprinted on my mind. And then all my friends were going to recording school, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting because I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like complete fluke.
Tell me about your what you do production wise, what all that stuff means in Nadia terms.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do is explain what music production is, to people that don't know anything about music production. So music production is taking the idea that's in your head, the song idea that's in your head. By the way, if anybody's ever told you you can't sing, or you've told yourself, I'm not a musician, I'm not a songwriter, that's not true. Anybody can do this. Nobody is more talented than anybody else. Maybe some people are, but it's just they put work into it and you just get better and better and better. So if anybody's ever told you anything like that, it's totally untrue, and you can get into music production right now. So music production is taking that song idea that's in your head, whether it's a lyrical idea or a melody idea or a rhythm idea. Those are sort of the three elements of a song: is melody, lyrics, and rhythm. So rhythm is the beat, the pulse, the thing that makes you move. The lyrics are the words that get across. Of course, that the only way that's going to be a problem is if you don't speak that particular language. That's where melody comes in, because everybody speaks melody, and melody is a catchy succession of musical notes, usually looped in a pattern that gets stuck in your head. So do 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 do. That's the melody from MGMT, the band called MGMT, song called Kids. So once you hear a great melody once, like an Avicii song or whatever song, Taylor Swift song, usually hear it once and it just gets stuck in your head for a week, right? That's a great melody.
Taylor
So
Swift is really good at repetition.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All the best pop artists are great at repetition because that's what gets it stuck in your head, right? If you think of when you learn something, like when I learn something, if you tell me something that I'm really interested in once, or if I read it in a book once, or audio book once, because I'm not much of a reader. If I hear it in an audiobook once, or I hear a concept once, I go, that's cool. I want to remember that, but I don't. Then I hear it the second time and I go, okay, now I can kind of map out the three most important things about that thing in my head. And then once I hear it the third time, I actually start implementing it into my life if I want to. So same thing with a song. You hear the repetition once, then you hear the repetition again, then you hear the repetition again. And then later on, you're not even listening to the song and it's still looping in your head. Honestly, music production and songwriting, it's mind control. It's mind control used for good, essentially, right? Because it's these notes that get stuck in your head and you can't forget them. It's a very powerful concept. And so pop songwriters and pop producers know that. So they use verbal things and melodic things and rhythmic things that are tried and true, that they know people are going to latch onto. And that way you will accept their message more. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that's more for like radio and use? Because there's a lot of
Yes.
singer-songwriters that, it's more about the story or the emotion.
Yes. Of course. All of my reference points are for pop music. So I think about and teach pop music because everybody's heard it, everybody can relate to it, and then you can extrapolate what you need from that to make the kind of music that you want to. Of course, Swedish death metal isn't going to follow the same rules as Taylor Swift. Of course, ambient lo-fi music isn't going to follow the same rules as Kanye West, but at least you'll know how the pros do it. And of course, I like different types of music too, but I'm fascinated by pop music because, there's just this checklist of things you need. And if you don't do one of them, you're basically cutting off like 80% of the population. You think of like lyrical content. Most songs, this isn't my quote, but somebody said this and it's amazing. Most songs are about, I want you, I don't want you, you want me, you don't want me, or politics. That's what most songs are about.
Yeah. Yeah. Luke Combs, he's my favorite. His song Doing This, it's like just about, if I wasn't doing this, I'd still be doing this. Whether it's like the Grand Ole Opry or like a show in some no-name town with a tip jar. And I feel really lucky that I get to do that in my life. And it sounds like that you do as well. Like if you weren't getting paid to be doing this, you'd probably still be finding a way to be doing this.
Absolutely. In a lot of ways, I'm still not getting paid to do most of the stuff I do. But I still do it like an idiot. Yeah, I'm too deep into it. I mean, so there's a lot more to life than money. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that. And music gives you a lot of the stuff that is rewarding, that doesn't have to do with money, like peace of mind, laughter, connection with people, feeling like you have like a vocation instead of a job, a great hobby, being creative, like a creative outlet. Like I realize that I have all these things and a lot of people don't, or haven't experienced that. That's why I want to get normies into music production. I want to pull people out of their 9 to 5 and go, here, take my free course and like learn music production in 90 minutes. It's like, I don't know anything about music. It's like, this course is perfect for you. Like I designed it for you. Like it's all free. Just start hammering out notes, because when you do that, I've seen people go from, I don't know about this, to like 10 minutes later, they're like, looking at this crappy little song they just made in 4 minutes, and you can just see the wheels turning in their head going, I think I want to make music for the rest of my life. I love that. Like, that's so great.
So your course Levels is a free course, or?
So my company's called Levels Music Production, and I've got a free Ableton Live course called Start Experience Ableton Live. And then I've done an iteration of this, but I'm building my signature course is called Music Production Ninja. And it's basically the tagline I'm working on right now is learn everything I've learned about music production in 35 years in 35 hours. Basically, that's what I'm trying to do, is make it really quick to digest, but be a complete, like everything you basically need to know about music production, from songwriting to audio engineering to recording, vocal production, beat making, just everything about it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's
So
my obsession.
will you let people know where to find your free course to start so they can get into it?
Definitely. We can put a link below, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. If you just go to musicproduction.ninja, everything's there. Really
that's a
proud of
good
that
name. Yeah.
domain name. Yeah.
So, how did meditation come into this? Did it come in before, after, during? What brought you into meditation space?
Yeah, way later. I didn't get into meditation until about, like, I guess 2.5, maybe it's 2.5, like almost 3 years now. Is I've kind of been thinking about it, thinking that I wanted to do it. I don't know if I'd done it a few times. I don't think I had. And I was kind of like, moving into the space of thinking about sacred geometry and chakras. So, like that stuff. So it's all in the same neighborhood, right? So once you're on that type of Google search or YouTube search, then it sort of leads you down that path. So
Yeah, kind of like a
I,
melody.
yeah, exactly.
You
Very,
start
very
seeing
nice
it
thing.
see it a couple of
Yeah,
different times, and then it starts implanting
absolutely.
a seed in your
Starts
head. And
looping around in your head. That's exactly right. So I was on YouTube, I think, and I must have been searching meditation, and I found Suraflow, and just watched a couple of her videos, and just listening to how she spoke, just the cadence of her voice, like how calm and professional and zen it sounded. I was like, this is great. And I had heard before that to start meditating for 8 minutes a day. And that seemed like something that was doable for me, because a lot of people, as I'm sure you know, when you say you're into meditation or you coach meditation, people say, I can say it with them. I usually just say it with them. Oh, I can't meditate. My mind is too crazy. It's like, yeah, that's why I meditate. Mine
yes,
too.
that's the point.
That's the whole point of it, right? And it's like, I wouldn't be good at it. My mind just wanders. It's like, mine too.
Yeah, this is
Still,
so much like music production.
everything's like music production. Every time I'm teaching music production, I go, am I talking about music production or life right now? Like, it's also
Yeah,
connected.
because you're talking about like how vocally or musically, like if you play an instrument, like you say, I can't do that, but it's about practice and like taking the
Absolutely.
time to
Yeah.
do it. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
meditation is like. You got to
Just
practice.
just doing it. That's exactly right. Like, you just have to sit down and do it. And another thing I heard, I think this is before Sura, this is back when I heard about the 8 minute, just do 8 minutes a day, is I heard somebody say, you don't get good at meditation. You don't have a good session. You don't say, oh, that was a good meditation I just did. There's no judgment at all. You just do it. You just, the act is the reward of itself. You're not trying to be competitive with it. You don't go, oh, today's meditation I had was better than the meditation I had yesterday. Whoever said this was like, that's nonsense. It has nothing to do with that. And I was like, wow, what an interesting thing, because our society is so merit based, so hierarchy based, so goals based. Like, we're always feeling bad because we didn't do the 18 things on our checklist today. And meditation's like, just forget all of that and just relax for 8 minutes, and then that's it. And there's no judgment about it. And I was like, that's what a cool concept. So I started meditating 8 minutes a day. Then I found Suraflow. Then it said, take my meditation coach course. And I was like, that sounds interesting. And then I took the intro to meditation course. I loved it. And it was very much a preview of what you'd get in Liberate. And then I made Liberate my 10-year goal. And just like the 10-year goal I had before in 2019 of becoming an Ableton certified trainer, by the end of 2019, I was an Ableton certified trainer. And then same thing happened with Suraflow. By the end of me saying that, I was in Liberate and on my way to becoming a certified meditation coach by the end of the year. So that seems to be a pattern with me. When I make a 10-year plan, it's completed within 1 year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So
curious what, oh, I'm curious what got you into sacred geometry, because that sounds like it was the catalyst to get you into the rest of it. What is it about that that you
yeah,
spoke
maybe.
to you?
It just looks cool. I mean, look at it. Maybe it was like, I think I probably first saw it in crop circles, and I was like, how, how, how is that?
Like on
How is that even a
airplanes?
thing? Like just pictures of crop circles that I saw, like in Google Images or whatever, right? You know, those
It's a
things that just,
random thing to be looking at.
well, they just appear in like people's, farmers' fields, and people are like, this is a hoax, or this is a message from the aliens, and it's like, okay, first of all, if it's a hoax, whoever did that, unbelievable. Like, where is that hoaxer? Because they should be like a really famous artist if that's the
Yeah.
case. And if it's not a hoax, if it is coming from the aliens, it doesn't, who cares where it's coming from? It's amazing. The patterns are amazing. And I think it's also very math based, right? Like it's geometry, it's numbers. And so what, again, we're getting back to music. So what I found in music is, when you look at beat divisions, when you look at rhythms, and polyrhythms, and note divisions, you can divide the notes by 4, of course. So each bar has 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bars is 16 beats. You bring in 3 4 time, and then 12 becomes a possibility. So basically the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, 16, 24, all those numbers kind of make sense rhythmically in music. So, when I saw that in sacred geometry, when I figured that out, beat making and music, or working with MIDI and music, I was like, why didn't they explain this to us in school in math? Like, I remember math being a really boring dude in a sweater, like a teacher's sweater with a V-neck, just telling us really boring stuff in a boring way. And if he bolted out sacred geometry or music and went, look at these beat divisions in 12, I would have been like, I'm a math guy, And so I guess realizing that math isn't boring and it's super cool and it's in nature. That's the other thing is, all these sacred geometry things show up in nature. So it's bringing these two disparate worlds in my high school mind, math and nature, together, and they're the same thing. And then they connect to music. And it's like, how are we not told any of this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what did we learn in high school? What did we learn in elementary school? I saw this thing the other day where it says, it shows your intelligence level, and from 0 to 1, you gain like 2 points. From 1 to 5, you gain like 6 points.
Do you mean
And
like
then
age wise or?
age wise,
Okay.
and then from 5, when you join school, to 18, you gain 3 points of intelligence. Like, what are we doing for those 13 years except going, this sucks? Like, what? At least teach us
I'll
how to
tell
do
you
our
what you're doing.
taxes.
You're
What?
you're getting out of the way of your parents so they can go to work and stuff.
That's true. Yeah. I
Like
think they
that's
could
why
have,
they I think that's why they have it like get out of the house. We can't stay home and take care of you all the time. Go
but
learn
but
something.
since they have us like as captives, they might as well teach us something interesting or useful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, sacred geometry does sound inspiring. Um, I am a math lover. I took like calculus in high school.
Oh,
And
cool.
whenever like now that I like that's my regret was not taking math in college. Yeah, if we ever have a check with a group of friends, I'm like, I'll divide it up. I'll figure it out. I'll do this. Like, I love it. Like, they're like, give it to Nadia. And I get my little calculator out and just
what
have a math field day.
what was it about it that originally inspired you?
Well, I think I innately just understood it more, I think I like that there's always an answer. Like
Right.
there is a yes or a no, and
Right.
you have to prove it. And I think that
Yeah.
brings a sense of peace when you find that actual answer. It's especially like in stuff like calculus or pre-calculus, it's pretty exciting to know
Is
you've got
the
it.
does it's a closed system is what that means, right? Like there's results, there's proven results that probably haven't changed for decades or more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I okay, so in music production, it isn't that. It's wide open that you can there's always the options for everything. There's no even measuring right or wrong, except you can measure it as popular or not popular. So is that Taylor Swift song better than that song? Well, it sold or it has 14 billion views and this song has 7 views. So measurably, you could say, yeah, I guess that's a better song, but it's kind of, you can't, there's no right answers like that. Whereas audio engineering, which is completely related to music production, is kind of more like math, where it's like, you don't have to follow these rules. You can do whatever you want to do, but you should. Like
Right.
there's certain things that relate to physics and acoustics, um, and electronics that you should observe and follow the tried and true methods because it'll end up sounding better and
Yeah.
people have done the research. So I
I
like both of those things.
I found another correlation there between the music and meditation
I
is
love it.
talking about already how you mentioned like there's not a good day and there's not a bad day of meditation, but
Mm,
when you look at it, some days I find a lot of peace or quiet spaces, and some days it's an ongoing struggle just to stay there and breathe and try to quiet the mind, and it just won't. And those days feel harder, but it's
yeah,
also more worth it to take that time for yourself. But if you look at it like that, the quiet days that you think are better are the the huge hit days, and the other
right,
days that are super busy might be a small day, but in the grand scheme of things, there's no they're completely different and uncomparable.
right. Yeah, that's what I mean by that. I mean, for sure you can go, that was a pretty good meditation I just had, obviously. But I love the fact that whoever said that that planted it in my mind was like, it's not about that. It's not really about, you don't have to think of it that way. You don't. And I like that because everything's like that. So meditation can be not like that. Meditation just chooses to not play the game of being measured. You can measure
Yeah.
it if you want, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
um yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So sacred geometry started making you look up stuff with brought you to chakras.
Yeah.
Because the chakra pictures and designs go by color, but then they also have symbols within them that are sacred geometry in the art.
Similar. I think it's Sanskrit usually that are related to the chakras, but definitely very connected. Um, then there's like 7 chakras or 12, depending on what you're what. Well, I mean, you can. There's probably a bunch of different systems of measurement of chakras, but I
Yeah.
think the
Just
general one is 7 normal and then 5 outside the body.
yeah.
That, by the way, relates to musical notes: 7 white keys, 5 black keys.
In a octave.
Yeah, it's all
Da
connected.
da.
It's very good. And they have, there's a connection to light because of the colors. So, red for the root chakra, orange for the sacral chakra, and so on up to violet, for the crown chakra. And each color, well, first of all, everything is vibrating. So the Nikola Tesla quote, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything's vibrating, from the pen sitting on your desk to your cat to musical notes, which are more obviously vibrating with your vocal cords and with the strings of a guitar, the skin of a drum. And so colors have that too. Colors are a higher frequency vibration. They're outside of the sound range and they're into the visible range. But each of those chakras are connected to a light vibration too. And so, yeah, again, it's all connected. It all connects to music, sacred geometry, chakras. That's
Yeah.
why I need to meditate, because if you start thinking about this stuff for too long.
Um, so when I first started like yoga and mindfulness and like chakras come into mind, I was like, okay, that's too much. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, or like this is just a whole nother thing. And like then sound healing and rocks, it's like, okay, this is this is just too much. Did you, I
absolutely.
mean, now obviously I kind of enjoy all these parts, but
Me
did you
too.
kind of like when you were looking into the chakras and discovering all those things, did you like in quotations like buy into it right away, or is it
Yeah.
something that you started like deep diving into? What was that?
Yeah, I mean, it resonated with me, but I didn't know why. Um, so over a long period of time, I just sort of kept, following it and getting into it until I started, putting up chakras on my walls and wearing mala beads, and then next thing you know, you wake up one day and you're a super hippie. But I was always a super hippie. I just, it's just admitting it. But yeah, it's weird, man, when you start, sound healing. It's like, get out of here, right? And now it's like, I believe that probably after my course is running along on its own, after I've designed my signature course, after my business is sort of taking more care of itself, I can already tell that my destiny is sound healing. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even tell anybody that I went to high school with, I'm a sound healer, right? They'd just be like, get out of my face, right?
But you kind of already are a sound healer. Like when I try to explain this stuff to people and like the science or whatever of sound healing and sound bowls, like you first tell them you listen to music and it changes your mind. It like you can be in a horrible mood and play a happy song and it completely changes your mindset and how you feel in your body. In the same way, if I have a really hard time with like a lot of loud noises and fast beats because it will give me anxiety. So if I'm in a good space and that happens, um, I'm not going to be in as good of a space anymore. So
Mm,
already when you think about actual music that way and different vibrations and beats, you do have an effect on people's moods and music is healing just with lyrics and beats like already
absolutely.
helps people through really hard times. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm really thankful again that I just went right out of high school, right into recording school. And I learned this. I learned because you have to learn waveform theory as one of the first things when you become an audio engineer. So basically, that's without getting too technical, that's the speed of the vibration and the loudness of the vibration. So it's easiest to think of when you see your speakers, when you're listening to music and your speakers are moving back and forth. They basically start from a zero line and then they move forward, let's say 3, doesn't matter what the unit is, and then backwards 3. So +3, -3, 0. That's basically one full vibrational cycle. It looks like this, like a sine wave. So once you learn that, the speed of the vibration, the length of the vibration, how long it takes sound to travel distances, and just ways to measure these waveforms. And then once you record it into software, into a digital audio workstation where you can make music, you can see it. It's there. You can see the music. And then, of course, a sine wave is a very simplified version of it. Somebody speaking or a full band playing or a full song playing is going to create this really complicated waveform, but it's really just a bunch of positive uh, 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 pressure in the atmosphere and then negative pressure in the atmosphere. So just like your speakers moving back and forth, your eardrums, a microphone, everything, it's all just the push and pull of the airwaves and the electrical impulses in the electrical wires in the case of a console like that. Everything's just plus minus zero, repeating over and over again.
hmm.
I forget what we started talking about, but oh yeah. So learning all of that in recording school, when I was 17 or 18, and now I realize that those same principles are behind sound healing and have such a massive effect on people. And I think that sound is going to be one of the major, if not the major way that we treat everything in the future. That's everything. If everything's vibrating, then the cure to diseases is vibrations, and they've proven this. You find the vibration for whatever's ailing you, and then you blast the body with that or something that
Counters.
destroys that or counters that. Exactly. And again, you've got the positive and negative uh, uh, polarity happening, right? So you can do things with switching that polarity. So instead of the speaker going forward and backward, what if it goes backward and forward? That's going to equal 0. But if you send that negative polarity signal into something like a diseased cell that is carrying the positive version, then technically those colliding equals 0. So, I don't know. There's something about that's definitely going to be in our future, and I'm just thankful that I was there learning it just because of music. But I see it as definitely having some health benefits in the future, and I get it, so I can probably help with that, which is kind of cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And then going from health benefits back into meditation. After you went through like the chakras, it kind of led you towards meditation. And then what was going on in your brain that were you looking for some sort of reaction from meditation? Or you just were like, oh, this is cool in the realm of what I'm doing, I'm going to do this?
I have always had an active creative brain that I'm very thankful for, but I think it's probably difficult for certain people to deal with, or it doesn't, I would say it isn't always welcome in the world that we live in. Not even welcome's not the right word, but I would think that I think I've realized that a lot of people don't have an active creative brain that's always creating like mine is. And I'm really thankful that I do, even though that makes me seem like a weirdo a lot. I love it. I don't care. I would rather have this than not. But my brain is so active and so crazy with ideas. Like that's why I can't read books. I have to read audiobooks, because I read, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and then my brain takes over. And I'm not reading the book anymore. I'm just flipping pages and I'm writing the screenplay in my mind, because I can't just listen to what the writer said, even if it's better content than what I'm doing. My brain's just like, best of times, worst of times, got it. So next thing, we're floating down a river, and all of a sudden a seagull comes out of nowhere and says, look, you don't understand. Yeah, and so I can't read, so I got to read audio. I got to listen to audiobooks.
Which makes sense because you're an audio person.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
You probably receive better or easier that way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a visual learner, but I definitely can learn with audio too. Although it probably takes a couple listens for it. Like I said before, 3 times to actually take to make me start making changes in my life based on something that I've listened to, that I like, that inspires me, that I want to influence my life. But yeah, so I started meditating because I wanted to calm down my mind. You've probably met other people too, and I always tell them this when I meet people. I go, your hard drive's spinning real fast up there, isn't it? I can see it. I can tell by your eyes. And they go, yeah, yeah. And it's a cause of stress, right? It's creative and it's awesome, and I wouldn't give it up for the world, but it's also kind of this, it's like enough already. I want to break. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get into meditation, and maybe that'll help calm me down. And it does. It definitely does. And it's one of those things where you just have to stick to it, to start with the 8 minutes a day like I did. Once we went into Suraflow, we started going to 15 minutes a day and 20 minutes a day. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot. 30 minutes a day, 60 minutes. And I was like, what? When is this? What is this? 90 minutes. Then it's like spend the whole afternoon by yourself in nature. It's like, this is killing me. But it was super fun. But I can't, most people can't afford to do 90 minutes of meditation every day, although it'd be great for you. But if you can commit, it's all about committing and being consistent. If you can commit to doing 8 minutes a day, that's a lot more doable for people. So that's
Yeah.
what.
It's better to do even 5 minutes of meditation every day than it is to do, 30 on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Even 2 minutes is better every day than once or never.
Yeah. You might like this term I created because I am very creative as well. So I call it HCP, highly creative person.
Nice.
Yeah. Because there's HSP, highly sensitive people, and I am a highly creative person. And so, but also I find that meditation, it doesn't slow your creativity as much as it does help you kind of hone in and maybe focus a little bit more on certain things as opposed to everything. So it can be really helpful in that as well.
It actually boosts my creativity. Not that I need that. I do not need that, but it's everything I can do. Like when I start meditating, my mind will be like, what you should do? You should start a podcast. I'm like, that's a great idea. Give me a pen and paper. And then it's like, nah. If the idea is worth remembering, I'll remember it later. So, but no, I got even more ideas in the first part. So that's the challenge is, my mind's like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? How about this is a good idea for a YouTube video? It's a good business idea. We should go to France. And then you go to meditate. Right? Because there's two of me in there. But when you start to meditate, the goal is to just turn down the volume on that thing. It's still squawking at you. Coming up with great ideas, by the way. But it's just like, why don't you just shut up for a while? And I'm going to just think of nothing. I'm going to think of a wall. I'm going to think of a pen for 20 minutes. I'm just going to imagine a pen in my mind, not doing anything, just sitting on a table. And that really helps to get you to focus on awareness of just the simple things around you. You can hear, sort of things happening in your body or in the nature around you, and just focus on really boring stuff for as long as you can, and then it'll be like, and then you just sort of like, you just let it, like when it does this, you let it just float by. That's what people say. It's just acknowledge it, because you can't push it out, because then you'll be like, I'm gonna push this out. You know what I should do? Design a plan for pushing out ideas. Don't engage with it. Just let it float by. I was into Pearl Jam in the early 90s, and there's a lyric from a Pearl Jam song, thoughts arrive like butterflies. And I just think of that and you let them float away, or whatever it is. That's a pretty decent Eddie Vedder impersonation, by the way. Comment below. So I just try to do that, and then again get back to just focusing on nothing, just thinking of nothing. Then you can do gratitude, like practicing gratitude is always a great thing for your life in general. So sometimes on my meditations, I'll just go off on gratitude and start thinking of all the people and things that I'm grateful for, send out love vibrations to people that need it more than me. And then there's the whole concept that we're all connected through the ether, through whatever Nikola Tesla was gathering energy from. We call it air, but I don't know if it's air, it's ether. And we're all connected through that somehow. There's like sorry, I'm going off on another tangent. That's what I do.
It's a good one.
But there's that concept of the 100th monkey. So someplace, a monkey started washing its fruit in the river, which is like pretty high level stuff for a monkey. And the other monkeys see it and go, like, that guy's crazy. And then another one the next day copies that monkey and starts washing its fruit. And then everybody else goes, those monkeys are not only crazy, but they're dangerous. And then, a couple weeks go by, and now 7 monkeys are washing their fruit, and then 50 monkeys. And then once you get to the 100th monkey, all the monkeys are washing their fruit, and the monkeys on an island 200 miles away, one of them starts washing the fruit. So it's like, that's this thing of how we're all connected, how ideas and concepts we're connected through some invisible force. And I've seen this even when I get creative ideas that I think are so original, and then I'll realize that other people are doing the same similar type of idea, and they started doing it last week, like the same time I was thinking of that idea. And I think there's some type of creative bond that holds us all together, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I have an idea. I hope it's not taken already.
But you can't say it because
I can't say it.
I get it.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
As long as you don't take it.
I won't take it. I've got too many
You
in
don't
mind.
have the time.
I don't have the time.
How, speaking of your different kind of meditations, you mentioned gratitude, you mentioned staring at a pretend pen on a table, you mentioned some getting boring. I really loved the butterfly. How has this changed the way you show up in your life or how you perceive things, and why is it worth it for other people to try it, if at all?
Yeah, great question. So let me just backtrack and say that before I joined Suraflow and became a meditation coach, I didn't know that there was more than one type of meditation. I was just, for 8 minutes a day when I started doing it, I was just doing what I later found out was called Zazen meditation, which is just thinking of nothing, just looking at a wall and just trying to remove all thought from your mind, which is probably the most difficult one because you're not doing anything. And later on, when we studied that in the first part there was like, here's 9 different techniques for meditation. And I was like, A, this is amazing. I love that there's all these different ways you can do it. And B, I had no idea. And I was doing the most difficult one, which is great because then it made the other ones easier. So how has it affected my life? How do I incorporate it in my life?
Not just incorporate it, but how has it like shown up like in the way that you like live, in the way that it's in your relationships or even in your music production? Like, has it changed or made any difference in those ways?
Yeah, I try to remember to sort of do it all the time. Like that's another thing we learned is like standing meditation or driving meditation. Obviously, driving meditation, there needs to be still a certain amount of focus on the road, right? But you can still sort of do it while you're in traffic or while you're standing or while you're walking. And that concept is kind of cool because then you can kind of, like you said, just sort of incorporate it into your daily or, everything you're doing can sort of become meditative, if not meditation. And definitely when I haven't been making music lately, but I want to get back into it again. And definitely when approaching making music, there's a Zen approach or a just breathing approach or a Zazen approach or a focus approach. You can apply all those meditation types and techniques to how you create, art or music or produce music or anything. And I really, another thing I want to do maybe between my signature course and becoming Dr. Futch sound healer is I want to really, and I've played with this a bit, is merging the worlds of music production and meditation, because again, they kind of go hand in hand. So for example, if you are producing an artist, if you're working with an artist, especially a singer, and it's time to go into the vocal booth, most singers just freeze like a deer in headlights, and they were perfectly fine. They wanted to come and sing, and now it's time to sing. Now the red light's on and the spotlight's on, and they're just like, oh, I got to get out of here. Or same thing with songwriting. It's like, okay, write a song, and it's like, so getting people into a meditative state, I want to explore that where music production and meditation meet. So getting your singer to meditate before they go into the vocal booth, or even just breathe. You know, like meditation just starts with breathing, right?
Yeah. Is there like we've spoken about a lot of different kinds of meditation, but like currently, what is your go-to or what does your meditation practice look like now?
I don't know if we talked about this in Suraflow. I think we did a bit, but like, okay, so we're really going down the rabbit hole here. So I really believe in the concept of we create this 3D world with our thoughts. We are co-creating this. As cuckoo bananas as that sounds, like I had to sit with this and go through this a number of times to
At
actually
least three.
believe it. At least three. Very good. But, you know, conceptualizing it and then actually believing it are difficult enough. Doing it is yet another thing. So there are a number of places where you can research this stuff. The most popular one is The Secret, the much maligned book, The Secret, or The Secret. But don't listen to the haters. Just take the information in for yourself and see what you think about it. The
Kind of like
original,
you create your own reality with your
you
thoughts
right,
by making
right,
the what you want to happen, what we might call the future in the present.
right,
Okay.
or in the near future or whatever,
Okay.
right?
I've never
So
actually done it, but that's my interpretation of what I've heard. So
yep, that's very, very accurate. So the detractors will say, "Oh, you know, the classic one is, well, I thought about a Mercedes Benz for a week and nothing happened." It's like, yeah, that's not how it works. So it's basically the concept that the universe, whatever that is, this again, the ether, the power, the light, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe in, is this thing that we're all sort of playing tennis with at all times, right? And it's sort of ideas go in, ideas come back. And the universe doesn't understand the negative polarity, if we can go back to the sine wave. So if you say, universe, I do not want to see any more yellow Hondas in my life, the universe goes, one yellow Honda coming up.
they
Yellow
just
Honda.
heard yellow
Yellow
Honda.
Honda. It doesn't know yes or no or don't or I'm really against. Doesn't understand it. So you have to remember that you're basically programming it like you would program a drum machine. Trying to tie everything together. You're
So I have a
programming the
question.
universe. Yeah, go for it.
You're not saying that, um, or what I'm hearing that you're not saying is when you say something negative or positive, it doesn't take that. What it takes is the zero. And the yellow Honda was zero. And the interpretation of what you want with the Honda would be the +3 -3 of I want, I don't want. But the zero was just yellow Honda.
Right.
That would
It doesn't understand positive or negative values. It only understands the noun or the verb, and it sends it to you. So if you say, you know, I don't want to break my leg, 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 it goes, this person really wants a broken leg. Boom. You got it, pal. I love you. Right? Here's your broken leg that you've been asking for. And so you've got to be careful of your thoughts. You've got to be careful. So words have power, thoughts have power, feelings have the most power. So you've got to be careful of what you say, think, and feel, because the universe resonates with that. It connects with that, and it thinks that you want it, so it gives it to you. That's the concept behind The Secret, and also the OG Secret, which is this book called Think and Grow Rich, which was written in like the 1930s, I believe. So just after the Depression, but before the Second World War, which is an interesting time because most stuff that we read or take in is in the lens of post World War II. This is pre World War II. So, and it's really old and it's out of date, but it's about all these people that manifested their, mostly what it's talking about is like their fortunes, their money, by manifesting, by thinking this way and believing it. The other thing is you have to believe this. So if you don't believe it and you test it out, it knows that you don't believe it, so it doesn't really work, right? Yeah. So you've got to have faith, the word that I used to laugh at, but now I'm interested in and believe in. And you've got to just sort of design your own future and sort of say it and believe it, write it down. Really helps. Like Jim Carrey, when he was starting out in his acting career, wrote out a check to himself for $10 million and kept it in his pocket or something. And it said, for services rendered. And, there's been a bunch of examples of that type of stuff, of people just writing stuff down or focusing on what they want and manifesting it. And then really cute story, he put that in his dad's pocket at his dad's funeral, which is kind of cool, like full circle, because of course Jim Carrey became massively successful. So the detractors say, I thought of a Mercedes-Benz for 3 weeks and it didn't happen. That's not how this works. So you have to, once you write down or think of what you want, you've got to put yourself in a position to get it, right? So Jim Carrey not only wrote himself a check for $10 million saying for services rendered, he also went to Hollywood and became an actor and did all those things that he had to do to become successful. He didn't just lie on his couch eating bonbons going, qu'est-ce que c'est? Where's the money, right? So there's that. And I know all this stuff sounds crazy, but just do your own research and you'll see people talk about The Secret, Think and Grow Rich, and just, there's a viral video going around of the guy going, I'm manifesting or whatever, and people are just laughing at it and writing it off. So whenever people laugh and write off something, that's when you know it's true. I usually find.
Can you put that into terms of what your meditation looks like? That's what you're meditating on, or when you...
So lately I've been, tangent boy. So lately I've been meditating about manifestation. So what I've just been talking about is sort of personal manifestation, or manifesting great things in your life. When I meditate, I'm more focused on the world and like the connectedness of the world. So I try to imagine just an amazing version of Earth that's in the near future where there's no war, because war is stupid and we're beyond that. It's an old concept, and everybody's just aware and connected, and it's not perfect, but people are more loving, more giving. I think a real key thing is people do what they want for a vocation. I think if we start doing that, that's going to just naturally start multiplying and resonating out into the positive energy, and positive energy begets more positive energy. And if people are happy at their job and doing something they want to do and feel like they're doing something that matters and it's important to them, then they're going to help other people to do that. And it's just going to spread and spread and spread. So I manifest this green, golden, abundant world where no war, medicine is based on sound healing and light healing. Most people are doing what they want to do. Of course, there's still a little bit of strife and struggle. Everybody's medical, health, and surroundings, like basic needs, are all met, and money is still exists, but is just sort of it's something you do for a hobby or something. Like, I know this sounds super idyllic and hippie, but I'm a hippie idealist. And so I focus on that and I meditate on that and I think of that. And again, words have power, thoughts have more power, and feelings have the most power. So once I get the thought and I can visualize it, I'll say it, like I'll say mantras, but I'll visualize it, but then I'll feel what it's like for everybody in the world on the planet. And then not even the world. Then I start thinking of the universe. What if we could bring this out to the universe, the multiverse, whatever's out there? And I think of just like the best feeling I can feel. And the best feeling I can feel is a cross between, like, you know, when you sit back too far in your chair and you almost fall, it's like a cross between that and laughter, like that feeling of, oh my God, that I try to feel that and focus on the earth, just green with abundance and everybody just laughing and going, this is amazing. Like, I can't wait to go to work today. I can't wait to go to my 4-hour day at work today. I just try and think of that. And I try to manifest it in the same way that that you would try to manifest something positive in your own life. Oh, yeah. That's been my go-to for probably the last year. Most of my meditations are that. I should do it more though, but
It does sound like a lot of thinking when you've
yeah,
talked about quieting. So
yeah,
is it more of just like you're at the point now with it that you see this green ball of happiness and earth and you feel what you just mentioned, laughter and awe, or
yeah.
about
That's
to
that's
let loose?
that's a great point. Because you don't want to fill it up with too much of this, right? Because then it's not meditation. So there is a bit of that in the beginning while I'm sort of thinking of the scenario. And then I try to really push it into that feeling, just get that awe feeling and just repeat that, just cycle that in my brain and just focus it into that manifestation. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It's not like Zazen meditation or focus meditation where you're just sort of you're zooming in. You got to create a little world first. You got to visualize that planet first, and that takes a bit of this. But yeah, that's a very very salient point.
Good word.
Abs- Thank you.
Yeah, so if you were to give advice to anybody that's starting meditation, it sounds like what served you in the beginning was sit for 8 minutes,
Yeah,
and then it doesn't matter what's good or bad. If you had a good or bad meditation, just it doesn't freaking matter.
absolutely it. If you can't do 8 minutes, start with 2 minutes. Doesn't really matter. 2 minutes is better than no minutes. But 8 minutes, it's hard to say no to 8 minutes. Everybody's got 8 minutes. So then what I would do is just focus on breathing. So just imagine, just visualize the breath going in through the nostrils and out through your mouth. You could do any combination of mouth and nostrils. You can go mouth, mouth, nostrils, nostrils, mouth, nostrils, or nostrils, mouth, however you want to do it. But you're supposed to breathe through your nostrils, I found out in the last year. You're not supposed to breathe through your mouth. That's where that term mouth, look at all these mouth breathers. That's where
Yeah.
that term came from. And we had 13 years of school. You think they could have spent one day going, yeah, you should breathe through your nose.
Yeah. I'd love you to give just a reminder about your course that will be in the show notes that people can go check it out and everyone can learn music production and love it, right? So
Love it.
just remind us where to get it verbally for those verbal learners. And then I'd like to hear what kind of meditation you would like to lead us in our next little episode.
I love it. So you can just go to musicproduction.ninja, and in the top of that of the website, there's a little box that says free courses and resources or something like that, and you can take a free Ableton Live course there. You just give me your email, and then you're signed up for it. You have access to the course. And the actual Music Production Ninja program, which is going to be my big signature course, I'm hoping to get the first. It's in 3 parts. Everything's in 3 parts. It's another thing we didn't talk about, but everything should be in threes. So the first part of that is going to be available in October. I'm going to try to have more of it available, but at least the first part will be available in October. And it's going to be basically about 35 hours of work for the student to learn what I learned in 35 years. If you want to be a complete, if you want to learn the whole enchilada about music production, you might be interested in that. Or if you just want to learn how to make a song quickly on Ableton Live, which is music production software, using their free trial and my free course in 90 minutes, then you can get that in the top little section where it says free courses. Musicproduction.ninja would be my call to action. And about the type of meditation that I'd like to lead you on. Let's do the manifestation one, because that's the one I talked about mostly, and it's maybe kind of a complicated one for people. So
Yeah, and perhaps if we're all doing it at the same time, there's more chance.
global meditations. Yeah. So there's another quick tangent. So if you've ever seen the what's that thing called where it measures the Schumann resonance of the Earth. So the Earth is vibrating at 7.3 roughly hertz, which means 7.3 of these cycles per second, which is a very low vibration. It's below our level of hearing. We can only hear from 20 cycles per second and above. So this is 7.3 cycles. So the Earth vibrates at approximately that frequency.
So the Earth is making a sound.
Yes, or more accurately, a vibration, because it's subsonic, so it is a sound, but we can't hear it. So to put it into perspective, the lowest thing we can hear is 20 hertz. The root frequency of a tiger's roar is 19 hertz, and the Earth is vibrating at 7.3 hertz. So very low, very slow in relation to the frequencies we deal with sound or light or whatever. So the Schumann resonance measures how, I'm not sure exactly what the parameters are, but it measures the global human reaction or response in relation to the Earth's vibration. And so you can see when people do global meditations, the Schumann resonance will just shoot up. Like there's a bunch of people that are connected for that 20 minutes or hour or whatever, and then it goes back down to normal or whatever. So if you just type in Schumann resonance or type in Schumann resonance today, you can see, I think there's even a Twitter account that has Schumann resonance today. You can see how the global vibe is. Basically, that's where vibration comes from, its vibe. Anyway, tangent boy, off on a tangent.
Good vibes.
Thanks.
Thanks
do you do this?
Good vibes today. Okay. Hope to see you guys in just a moment in the guided meditation portion of the podcast.
Peace.
Thanks for being here, Futch. It's awesome and entertaining and interesting.
No problem. My pleasure.
Thank you.